All right, it is 6:30. I will call this meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. The Assistant Clerk, would please call the roll.
Councillor Brooks.
Present.
Councillor Cormier.
Present.
Councillor Gardner.
Present.
Announcement of open meeting recordings. Any person who make a video or audio recording an open session of meeting may transmit the meeting through any medium subject to reasonable requirements of the chair's number, placement, and operation of equipment used so as not to interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Any person intending to make such a recording shall notify the chair forthwith. All documents and exhibits used or referenced in the meeting must be submitted in duplicate to the city clerk as they become part of meeting minutes. First item on the agenda is a public hearing. It's a joint hearing on items 11552, a communication from the Traffic Commission regarding the number of vehicles towed under the city's winter parking ban procedure, and item 11737, which is an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Gardner, Chapter 600, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 24, entitled Parking Prohibited on Certain Streets. Item 11737 is the ordinance that would codify the recommendation of the Traffic Commission in item 11552. Call this public hearing open. If there's anyone that wishes to speak in favor, I will first read a communication from the Director of Public Works, who could not attend, but wished this to be read in the record in favor. Unfortunately, I cannot attend tonight's public safety meeting, but I would like to have this email on record. The Department of Public Works has consistently found winter operations to be safer, more efficient, and more cost-effective under the former winter parking ban, which ran from November 1st to April 15th. When vehicles are not present on the streets, crews are able to complete plowing in a single pass, significantly reducing labor time, fuel use, and overall operation costs for the city. Under the current code red system, many residents do not move their vehicles quickly enough when alerts are issued. As a result, crews often must make multiple passes on the same streets, and numerous cars remain parked throughout storms. These vehicles create snow windows that extend into the roadway, complicating cleanup and causing unsafe driving conditions for everyone. Parked cars also push up against the snowbanks, restricting access for the sidewalk tractor and leaving several sections of the sidewalk unplowed. The data in your packet also shows that the current method imposes a far greater burden on residents. According to the police report, only 264 vehicles were towed over 9 years under the old seasonal ban. In contrast, 824 vehicles were towed in just 7 years under the code red system. On average, the city towed about 30 vehicles per year under the old method compared to 131 per year under the new system, excluding the COVID period. This indicates that the code red approach results in significantly more towing and higher costs for residents than the former parking ban. I strongly recommend implementing the proposed parking ban city code for the above mentioned reasons. Thank you, Dane Arnold, Director of Public Works. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of the ordinance?
Good evening, please.
For the record, please.
Eric McAfee, the Chief of Police.
Nick Maroney, Deputy Chief of Police.
Having experienced both versions of the winter parking ban, I can definitively say that the old one, while I realize how cumbersome it is for the residents with the number of vehicles we have, it is a bigger issue to clean the roads. It's undeniable. When we used to start tagging in November, the roads would be clear by the time the first snow event usually took place. At the very most, we would have to remove a couple of cars. It ends up being an issue. I realize that there's less off-street parking now, more cars out there. However, there has to be some type of, we have to look at some type of happy medium here, and this hybrid model was kind of what we had discussed, the Traffic Commission and some other things to reduce the number of vehicles towed. Whether people are receiving them or not, or you look out your window and it's snowing and it's like, I'm not going to move my car. Something is disconnected there, and it doesn't reach the number of people that a parking ticket in November did. The truth is. While I realize going back to the old way for the entire season is probably a little over the top given the fact that we don't get a ton of snow in November. I was about to say December, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I understand that aspect of it. Also, at the end of the season, we do experience this, usually after March, maybe 1 or 2 events. But
I realize that shortening it is probably the better idea, but we need to probably do something. Depending on, and the more snow events we have, the more difficult this is gonna end up being.
Yeah, it's getting taxing on first responders. The numbers that I presented to the letter to this committee doesn't show the number of door knocks we had to do, the officers had to do to try to get cars moved before towing vehicles, and that number is pretty high as well. It's just a lot to do in the middle of a snowstorm, not to mention you have on the overnight shift, you'll have domestic calls coming in, accidents, and they're out trying to get cars moved for the DPW, so they're not doubling back. It's very taxing on public works and public safety. And I think this hybrid model, like the chief said, we do understand parking is at a premium here in Gardner. Not giving them the 4 or 5 months to try to find parking and narrowing it to 2 months. I think people can probably bite that off a little bit easier than the full 4 or 5 months. And I think it's a good compromise between the old system and the new system, and meshing them together and making sure the roads are clear for public works to get their job done, and minimizing the amount of cars we have to tow, which is taxing on the taxpayers as well.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the proposed ordinance? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the proposed ordinance? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the proposed ordinance? Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone wishing to speak against the proposed ordinance? Then I will call this public hearing closed. Moving on to old business, we have item 11552, which is a communication from the Traffic Commission regarding the number of vehicles towed under the city's winter parking ban procedures. I will put this on the floor for recommendations or discussion.
I just move we place, recommend to the full council that we place this on file.
Motion by Councilor Brooks, second by Councilor Harden to recommend to the council to place the item on file. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11737, ordinance to amend the code of the City of Gardner, Chapter 600, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 24, entitled Parking Prohibited on Certain Streets. I'm not going to read the ordinance into the record. It is included in the packet, but it is rather extensive in the several sections that it goes through. So I will entertain any motions or discussion.
I would move that we recommend to the council that it be approved. Or go to first printing, whichever is appropriate.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Brooks, second by Councilor Harden to recommend the full council to send the item to first printing. Is there discussion on this motion?
Yes, I think what we're proposing is a good idea. It's clear that the current system with just using the code red has its limitations. This will require that people, during at least the 2 snowiest months, should have their cars off the road, which makes the cleanup easier, and also make sure that people have a place to put their vehicles. I also think there's an incentive for people to get their cars off the road when there is a snow in November, December, March, April. For example, tomorrow. That if they can do it and do it well and not tie up city resources trying to move these vehicles, then we can keep it the way it is. If it doesn't work, then I think we could be back here in a couple of years looking to expand this or extend it. So I am okay. Thank you.
Any further councilor comments, questions?
No, I'm in favor of it. I myself, and I know it's easy for me to say, I have my own off-street parking. I understand that, but I hope this works, because if it doesn't, we will be back, and maybe the whole winter again. You know, we might need that. Well, time will tell, but thank you.
Okay. Any further councilor comments, remarks? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Councilor, questions, concerns, comments?
I would just tell the two gentlemen there to be safe out there. Thank you for what you do.
That's all set.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Brooks to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.